welcome back to Chats with RRS. This week we're going to be discussing mental health in the workplace as it's Mental Health Week this week. My name's Becky, I work in HR, and I'm joined here with Liam, who is our tech and engineering recruiter. You right, Liam?
Yeah, I'm not bad, thank you.
That's
not
good.
bad.
Good stuff. Cool. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is sort of the significance of Mental Health Week, and I thought it'd be quite nice to sort of say what that means to you. Because I know that obviously mental health is something that is really important to you.
100%. Because it is such a big thing nowadays in today's world. Not just in a workplace, but obviously just with everything that's going on in the world at the moment. Especially within this country as well. And I think definitely in terms of in a workplace, it's significant because you just don't know what's going on in people's lives. In terms of what's going on behind the scenes, and it's so hard to sort of bridge that gap of when you're coming into work, leave it at the door. And I think that is such a massive thing. And I do believe in that. I do believe that we should come to work, leave your problems at the door. But it is so hard. You like I say, you don't know what's going on in each other's lives. So I think it's in any workplace, not just our own, any workplace out there, that we can try and figure out ways of really helping people with mental health, because they could be going home after work. You just don't know what's going on in someone's head. I know I've had my fair sort of share of dealing with mental health and things like that. I'm not trying to sort of bring the tone down a bit, but it does happen. And as I say, there's so much going on in the world and in people's lives that sometimes work is the last thing on their mind. And as much as it's work, it should be your priority, I think, because obviously at the end of the day we all go to work to make a living. But there does need to be, I believe, that element of supporting people that are genuinely suffering with mental health.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And also I think even by today's standards, there is in some people's minds still a stigma around mental health and what that means to them. And I think a lot of people feel as though they can't speak up. I know there's a lot of campaigns about at the moment. I think ITV did one it's called something about talking. I think it's just getting Britain talking. I think that might be it.
Yeah.
Because there is still such a stigma, and if people are coming into work and they have got a lot on their plate, it can take away and it can distract you from what you're doing, because it is such an all-encompassing thing. Like Liam said, he suffered with mental health problems before, so have I, and you can't really see the wood for the trees. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, sort of something like that.
You can't really see 2 steps in front of you because you're just so engulfed in what's going on outside of work. So I think in some ways we need to drop the stigma around it at work.
Well, I think sometimes, going back to what you said, I think sometimes, I don't know if you can relate to this, sometimes you feel like you take 1 step forward and then it's 10 steps back.
Yeah, you think you're getting better, and then
all of a sudden something just hits. And it can be, I think with mental health as well, it can be something so little. Yeah. But I think it obviously it's with regards to how your brain functions. Something little. It's like with me, you guys know me around the office. Something so little, a candidate can wind me up, and that can be me. That can be me done for the day. Try not to. Don't get me wrong, because that's the nature of the business of what we're in. But I think it's also understanding. You might look at someone and you think, oh mate, it's not that big, but you just don't know how that person takes that into account.
Yeah, everyone sees it differently, and a little thing to someone else is obviously a little to a different person. And I think as well, the industry we're in with recruitment, it is it's a fast-paced environment. It can be quite high stress. Obviously, you bank on people. Sometimes things fall out. And if the billings aren't there or you're not hitting your KPIs, it can cause a lot of stress onto people. And I think, especially if they do take that home with them and there's not much of a work-life balance because they're stressing about work, that you get into this catch-22 cycle where you can't seem to break out of it.
100%.
Because you're stressed at work, you take it home, you don't really have a rest, and then you don't come in the next day feeling refreshed. You just come in the next day thinking, oh, here we go again. So I think in the workplace, what's really important is creating a space where your colleagues can kind of talk to you. Obviously, you have to be careful about when that is, because at the same time, taking away from your desk is going to distract you even more, and then that could just fuel the stress. So even if it's, pulling them aside on a lunch break, be like, oh mate, I really need to talk to you, or whatever it might be, Utilise your colleagues, utilise the relationships that you make at work, because it is really important. And you never know, like that one conversation where you've given someone the space to talk about something that they're really struggling with could be the difference between whether they're having a good day or a bad day with their mental health, or whether they come in feeling like crap and then they end the day feeling a lot better, like a weight's been lifted. So it's definitely really important to talk.
100%. And I think, and don't get me wrong, mental health is for both men and women. Absolutely 100%. Obviously there is, I don't know the specific stat, but obviously there's a lot of the stuff about men can talk. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from women at all, because I know women that do struggle with mental health, but I think it's definitely coming from a man's point of view, from my point of view, as males, we do sometimes, I think, like you say, we can't talk, we can't open up. There's this alpha male about us and things like that, and I just think, like, just open up, honestly, just open up, talk to anyone. Like, no one's going to think less of you or anything at all. Like, to be honest, if someone, like, I'd be more proud of someone opening up and talking, like, having a little cry, like, than sitting there and wallowing in it. Because on a personal level, me and my mates, we've gone through some stuff with that. I'm not going to go into that because that's not what this is about. But just open up and talk. We are all on this earth together. And honestly, just open up, because there is people out there that genuinely do care. There's maybe the small majority that is so small that, like you say, mental health, just brush it off, a bit like that. But like I said, that's such a small majority now, especially in today's world. So men and women, just honestly, do not be afraid to speak, and do not bottle it up, because that's
doesn't make you any less of a man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I said, everyone knows in this office when I'm having a bad day, I will openly admit it. Sometimes not in the best way, but honestly, just speak, because we care. If someone was to come to me in this office, I'd be there straight away. If it's a shoulder to cry on, I know you'd be the same. I know Georgia behind the camera will be the same. At the end of the day, we're like, especially in a workplace as well, because I think, like, we see each other more than we see our own families.
Yeah.
In a sense, you know what I mean? And, like, we work together 5 days a week, 9 hours a day. Like, so we do know about each other's lives, not absolutely every single detail, but I want to make sure I want to know everyone in this office is okay and we're happy, because it also, I don't know if, exactly, that's what I mean. I don't know if you find it, like, if someone is down in the office, you can tell, like, whether, like, not just with me, just because I'm loud and have a big personality, but if you was down, if Georgia was down, if anyone here was down, I just think you would be able to tell, because it does create a certain environment, and you don't want that. You don't want that for them, and you don't want it for the work environment, because also we were just talking about performances there. In terms of what we do as recruiters, like you say, our job is based on performance. And you can lose your job just like that in certain aspects if you're not performing. If you're not performing. So I think definitely don't bottle it up, because people will always be able to tell as well, because of the sort of environment and the vibes you're giving off. You know what I mean?
If you feel like you're lighter and you haven't got as much, like, going on, or you feel like you can talk about it, it definitely does boost productivity, because you're giving your brain that space to focus on what you've got to do for those 9 hours you're at work. And I think kind of the attitude of the whole, like, leave it at the door, to some extent, I do agree that you have to leave some aspects at the door, because, you can't kind of, it's a very fine line, because in the same way as I think it's great, like, we do need to get people talking, and we do need to hold space for people, at the same time you have to kind of think, okay, when do I have to sort of just, like, try and compartmentalize that for the next couple of hours, because I've got to get something done. And that can be really challenging. So even if it's just in the morning and you come in, like, it's almost, and it's so much easier said than done, because you don't always feel as though you can speak straight away, but you've kind of got to be a little bit brave about it and just be like, pull someone for a chat, whether, obviously with me being in HR, we hear all sorts, and people want to chat to us, which is great. That's kind of what we're here for in some ways, is to support the workforce, but also to support the business. So if everyone's happy, then the business as well. It's a knock-on effect.
I think going back to that, I know I've joked about it a few times, but in terms of a workplace, workplaces are so HR driven now.
Yeah.
They're definitely some of the people you can take. If you have a HR, they're not just there to monitor your performances and hire people. They are there to talk. And I know the guys in our HR that are very like that. I've been fortunate enough to have a colleague in HR that I could go to for nearly anything, whether it was really confidential or I just wanted a rant. There was times where I could just pull her in this office and she'd let me just rant on for 5-10 minutes, and then that would be it.
You feel better then.
Yeah, and then I go out and I'm back to myself. So
but with you as well, I think I noticed that change in you. So, like, say if you're coming in the morning, obviously, like you say, it's very obvious when Liam's not in a good mood or, like, when Liam's got something going on.
I don't know how.
Maybe because he just goes mute. Like, he'll just sit there and he just won't talk to anyone. And I'm like, okay, there's something going on with Liam. So then he comes in here, he'll, like, offload, he'll chat about it. And then you come out and I can instantly see a difference in you. Like, you're not back to your, like, loud, laughy, like, bubbly self straight away. It comes. But you can tell that weight's been lifted, and then you get back to your desk, you kind of crack on, and you're like, okay, everything isn't as bad as I once thought. Because people do have a tendency, and I've definitely been bad for this, but catastrophising a situation that on paper might not be that bad, and sometimes it takes speaking up, telling someone, laying it all out on the table for them to look at the facts and be like, okay, what can you control? What can't you control? Is it really that bad? Like, can you do something now to make it better, or is it something that's going to be long term? And just kind of talking through those different options can be really important. I think as well, if you're in a situation where perhaps you feel you don't have that support in your workplace, because unfortunately there are workplaces that aren't as, I think, open as here. I think we do offer a good platform for our staff, and obviously don't want to be biased with being in HR, but I do feel as though the space is there. But if you feel as there's not, or maybe you feel quite lonely just in general, or you don't think you can go to any friends or family about anything, there are resources online as well. And I know, if you go to the doctors, the first thing they say, isn't it, is like, oh, well, go on the NHS website and see what you can do. But sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes it's deeper. So you do need to talk to someone. And there's this online resource that one of my really close friends volunteered at for a long time, and I did for a short while. But life gets in the way. But it's called 7 Cups, and it's an online service where it's completely, totally anonymous. And the person that you're talking to, you have no idea about anything about them. They have no idea anything about you. And you can go on, it's a 24/7 online chat room, and you can just talk to trained listeners who can kind of help you figure it out. They can't give advice, but if you sort of offload your situation, it takes that weight off your shoulders, because it's a problem shared is a problem halved. So that's definitely something as well, if you feel a bit trapped, that I think would be good to look into. In terms of your perspective, Liam, I know obviously we've spoken a lot about you feel as though you can come to us obviously if you have a problem, which is brilliant, and that's definitely what I want to have as like a space now. I'm stepping more into the HR space.
Yeah.
But is there anything in particular other than what we've spoken about that you think that employers can do to help employees when they might be struggling with something that's not always visible?
It's one of them, in terms of, especially here, that you do offer great support. I mean, from the day you started, I think you said at first we didn't know how to work each other out until we went down the pub together. And then I realised, like, yeah, you're cool. And and I think we've always been openly been able to talk to each other. In terms of what a workplace can offer, it's just maybe flexibility, but then again, it's sort of one of them. It's, if someone, because mental health can mean all things, sometimes they might just not want to be in front of people.
Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe they want to work because they want to take their mind off it. So it's like, can I go over there for a bit and just work, have my own peace and quiet? Do you know what I mean? It's maybe little things like that, which I know sometimes not always easy, because you also don't want people to sort of take the mick in terms of, oh, I'm feeling bad today, I'm just going to work from home. I think, do you know what I mean? And so that
sometimes coming in helps as well.
100%.
Like, it is a good distraction.
It's just that flexibility, and like you say, giving people the chance to talk. There's always been that flexibility here of like, do you want to go and take 5-10 minutes? Sometimes it's like
sometimes that's all you need.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just need 5 minutes to go outside, take a few deep breaths.
Do you want to go call your partner or something? Do you want to listen
have a little, just calm down a second.
Yeah.
Take a minute for yourself. Sometimes I'm getting a bit stressed, and I think, oh my God, I've got so much to do. Don't know where to start, because I'm a bit of a stressor. And sometimes all it takes is literally just like going outside, having a big deep breath and thinking, okay, it's not that bad. Let's make a list. Let's come back in, crack on. Do you know? It's one of those things. It's not. it's not always really, it's different degrees, isn't it? You know, sometimes it's deeper than just you're a bit stressed at work. Sometimes it's something going on outside of work. Sometimes you can just have, you know, diagnosed mental illness, which it does happen, and you know, you might be on medication for that. And being open, I think, around being on medication for your mental health is so important. I've personally taken medication for anxiety before. And when I first went on it, I think there was such a stigma, and I remember being really upset, and I called my mum and I was like, I don't want to do it, like it felt wrong. And my mum just said to me, like, would you take it if for anything else? If you have to take antibiotics because you had a chest infection, you'd just take it, you wouldn't question it, like you would just take them. And I was like, yeah, that's true. And it took a while to change my mindset, and honestly, the best thing I ever did was go to the doctor and obviously talk through my different options. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy, and I do know that. It took a while to get to that point, but I think destigmatizing that at work, I know so many people that take antidepressants for depression, anxiety, OCD, loads of different things, and sometimes it's just this like short term, it gives you that little bit of space to figure it out and do whatever you need to do to get yourself back on track.
With medication's such a tough one,
yeah.
I think, nowadays, because I do think people just go to the doctors, we'll stick you on this for 4 weeks, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah.
And
that does happen.
It does happen a lot, and I'm not trying to call the NHS here, you know.
You love the NHS. Just on the record.
But you know, there is that element that like you say, people, I think, and I think that is why people as well don't go to the doctors, because it's a case of they don't go through options, they don't go this, they're like, all right,
here's a box of surgery.
do you know what I mean? It's just like, right, go pick these up, we'll see how you're doing after 2 months, and then the next thing you know, you're on them for the next 7 years. Like and then you're so dependent on them. Is that maybe like where we have to say to the doctor, well, look, can we discuss other options? Is there other options out there? And there is. Counselling. There is counselling, like you say, it's just going to someone face to face. I know there's even an online service sort of similar to what you were saying. I think this is through the NHS, where you just speak to someone through web chat, so you can get open with them. It's all confidential. But I'm just sort of trying to get on the idea that there is so much more of options out there than just taking medication. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that medication isn't the right thing. I just think
for some people it is the right thing.
Yeah.
And we both know that.
100%. You know, I'm on medication myself.
You see that little helping hand sometimes.
Yeah, that's it. But I think, like you say, if you're a person that doesn't want to go on medication, you know, don't worry. There is other avenues that you can go down.
Counselling and therapy can be an absolute game changer for people.
Well, some people just need to talk, don't they?
Some people just need to talk, Some people feel like they can't talk to those around them. But I think open communication is the number one.
Yeah.
Talk to your friends, talk to your family, talk to your employer. Because people, like Liam said earlier, people will be more receptive than you think. I think it's quite easy to get in your head about it. Oh my God, they're going to think this about me, they're going to think that about me. 9 times out of 10, that's not the truth. People just want to help. I think in this office we do all get on so well, which is lovely, and we're very fortunate for that. And I think that's something that a lot of people that I know that I'm friends with that work for other organisations haven't necessarily felt. And I know that they've suffered with their mental health at different points as well. So it's really good. I think we have a good support network here, and now in HR as well, I want to continue to offer that.
I agree. I think in terms of just looking at the workplace and things like that, with regards to touching on sort of the recruitment side, whether you're in sales, whether you're, you know, in recruitment, or, you know, anything in terms of engineering, there's always deadlines and high workloads and high pressure. That can really take a toll on your mental health, like I said, especially with regards to targets and things like that. Like you say, you go home, you know, I'll openly admit it, there's been times this year I've gone home and just cannot get work out of my head. Because this hasn't been met, or this hasn't gone through. And it genuinely does affect you, because it's self-pride and things like that. Like, I want to do well in what I do.
Yeah.
So if I have had a bad day in terms of nothing to do with me mentally, but in our line of work, a candidate's not turned up, or he's turned the offer down, or the offer's gone through, you come in next week, you're absolutely guns blazing, you're so happy, He comes back. He's had to think about it over the weekend. He doesn't want it.
Yeah.
It can genuinely just destroy it.
Soul-destroying
And I am
sometimes,
talking about it from first-hand experience that it does happen. And I'm not trying to scare people off joining recruitment, by the way, because
it is fun when you get into it.
But you know, that has happened to me, and that genuinely has not left my head. I'd say even sometimes more than 2 days. Like, I've dwelled on it for the next 2 days, and it's just about finding that balance of, you know, with me, I do dwell on things, and there's been times where I've pulled management, and management have just gone, forget it, it's happened, it's done, move on to the next one. Think about the next opportunity, think about the next project or the next job. With our job, obviously, there's an element of, there's only so much we can do, the rest is out of control. Like I say, a candidate talking to his wife or her husband or anything like that and going, this isn't for me, we can't control that. We've got no idea how that conversation goes. You don't know what's going on in their personal lives as well. So in terms of workload and deadlines, like, yes, try to be punctual, try to hit those targets 100%. You know, that they are, at the end of the day, you're targeted for a reason. There's KPIs for a reason.
That's a help than anything as well.
But you know, but if it doesn't happen, but you gave it your all, don't stress about it. If you've not done it, but you think there's elements that maybe it's because of you, then obviously that's where you've got to strip back and go, right, where can I do better? But if you gave it your all, it's like, say, if I'm going to go back to the recruitment side, you know, you're top of the call stats. You know, you're not letting go of that phone, but you've still not hit your targets. Then look, that's just the nature of the beast. It's just unfortunate.
It definitely makes you more resilient. Like, having to just brush it off and be like, oh, that was annoying. Okay, we need to move on now.
Yeah, and
that is so hard.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Look, thank you for having me today. I think it's been great to talk about, because it is something I know me and you both have a strong opinion on. You know, it's something I strongly believe in, you believe in, that we definitely can do more, just as people. And you know, we'll put the links out there. There are these links that people can go to. Go seek your help if you need it, and just crack on and just keep going, because that's what we're here for.
Everyone is stronger than they think they are.
Exactly.
Thanks very much for listening. Give us a like, a follow, a subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.
Perfect.
That's a wrap.